Hey guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. Have you been struggling to find the perfect editing software? Well, don't worry, because today I will be sharing some software that I use as well as some that I don't use. So if you are excited, sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode. Today, I will be talking about different editing software that you can use to edit your photos. I have compiled a list of 5 softwares. Some are ones that I use, and others are ones that I used to use or that I don't currently use it all. So now I'm going to talk about the first one, which is on the iPhone. I'm not too sure if Samsung has a photo editing option, but I know that the iPhone does. I have an iPhone and it's actually pretty good. I used to use it before I started using Lightroom and Photoshop. And I mean, the only thing that it really allows you to do is add filters and crop your image. You can adjust like the hue and saturation, all that, but it doesn't have as many features as the other ones on this list. So on the older versions of the iPhone and the older versions on the updates, the presets and the settings on the iPhone camera editor were very minimal. If I can remember correctly, I remember you just being able to add filters, but I think now you can adjust the exposure. You can adjust the brilliance, which means a brightness. So if you don't want to have to manually adjust the brightness, you can just go on your iPhone camera picture editor and scroll until you find the brilliance section. And if you scroll up, it will brighten your photo, and if you scroll down, it will make your photo darker. Another feature that the iPhone camera phone editor has is highlights. And basically what that is it focuses on certain parts of the photo you have taken. So if you took a picture of the sky or a tree, it'll mainly focus on the sky and the tree, and it will brighten just those two, which is what I'm guessing, because I'm trying it right now on my phone, and it's only brightening the colorful aspects of the photo I took. Now the next feature on the iPhone phone editor is shadows. And I don't know too much about shadows, but I'm guessing that it brightens the darkest parts of your photo. So let's say that you took a picture of yourself and you appear very dark. The iPhone phone editor will focus on you, and you can adjust the brightness of yourself. You can either you brighten yourself or make yourself darker, but in this case, you want to brighten yourself. So then you would go to the shadow setting and do it that way. The next setting you can add on the iPhone phone editor is contrast. Now, this is for the colors. So if, let's say, you took a picture of a building and there are more reds than black in the building, then you can go into your iPhone phone editor and it will try its best to make great contrast between the two colors. I'm trying it right now with a picture I have taken, and there are blues, oranges, greens, grays, and whenever I adjust the slider, it's making the oranges brighter while making the blues and the greens and the grays a little darker. So that's that. And then another feature is the brightness. And again, this just allows you to brighten your photos and adjust, how how bright you want it, or if you want it darker, that's how you do that. Another feature is the black point. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't know what black point is. There's also saturation, vibrance, warmth, tint, sharpness, a definition, noise reduction, and vignette. I think is how it's pronounced. But I actually want to go back to warmth. So there is something in photography called cool tones and warm tones. So if you go outside right now and take a picture of the sky, that would be a cool tone because it's blue. But if you wanted to make it a little bit warmer and toned down, then you could use your iPhone camera editor and make it a little more orange because the cool tones are like blues, and then the warm tones are like orange and red. So that's what the warmth setting is for on the camera. And then sharpness is for when you want your picture to look clean and crisp. If you take a picture and you're like, this is not how I want it to come out, then you can go on your iPhone camera editor and use the slider to make it more sharp, which means to make it more clear and at a higher definition. So that was the iPhone phone editor. I hope that helped just a little bit. And if you keep noticing me looking down, it's because I'm actually trying to go on each app and know what each one offers so that I can, tell you guys and give you some advice. So now I am on Lightroom. This is one I actually use for my pictures. This is a lot different from the iPhone phone editor, and it's because it allows for many different features. So I'm going to go through them real quick so you can change the light, color, blur, effects, detail, optics, and profiles. So I wanted to go on light. So under this category, it's very similar to the iPhone phone editor. So you can change the exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, etc. And then on the color option is where you can change the color of your picture. So if your picture came out too cool, you can use the features on there to make it a little more warm. And then you also have blur. This is an option that the iPhone phone camera does not have. So basically what that means is there is a bar on Lightroom that allows you to focus on one specific point in your picture and blur it, which I think is really cool. So let's say you take a picture of a car and you want the car to be in focus, but the background blurry. You can go into Lightroom, you focus the blur on the sky or the grass or the pavement or the buildings behind your car, and you can blur it, which is really cool. They have different kinds of blurs. They have the circle blur, the bubble blur, the S blade, the cat eye, the ring, which is pretty cool. And I personally don't use the blur um, in Lightroom. I just use the color selectors. And then another thing that it has are effects. So you can do the texture, clarity, dehaze. If you took a picture that's a little bit hazy, you can use the dehaze option to make your image more clear. And then you can do a vignette, which is basically a white border that comes around your picture. If you want it to look like a picture frame or very old and rustic, you can add a vignette. You can make it very strong to where it outlines your picture with a very bright white border, or you can make it very subtle. And you can change the effects of the vignette. And then you can also add grain, which you don't want because the grain will make your picture look really bad. But if that's what you're going for, then add it. You can also, change the detail like sharpening or the noise, which is grain. That is another word for a grain. It's like the pixels you see within your pictures. And you can also reduce a color noise. I'm not too sure what that is, but you can do that. And optics, you can remove a chromatic aberration and enable lens corrections. And then in profiles, that is where it lets you see all the changes you have made. So if you have made a ton of changes to your pictures, you can save each one to go back to it. Let's say you edited your picture to be in black and white, and you save that profile, but then you want that exact picture, the one you just put in black and white, in a different filter. You can always just save and go back to each color. So that was Lightroom. Now I'm going to talk about Photoshop. I don't use it a lot because that is more so for like changing the way you look and changing your body. You can change the brightness of the photo on there as well, but most people use it to, you make their face look smaller or their eyes bigger, their nose, smaller. So I don't really have much to say about Photoshop, but if you are someone that likes to remove things from your image that weren't supposed to be there, or you want to make, the person you took a picture of skinnier, or I don't know, if you want to make their teeth whiter, that is what Photoshop is used for. There are many other features, but because I don't use it that much, I can't really speak too much on it. But it is a great resource to use if you are trying to have a more advanced or professional look in your photos. But I just prefer to use phone editor and Lightroom. The phone editing is free. If you have an iPhone, you get all the features free. You get the filters free, the hue, saturation, all of the photo editing options free. Now, Lightroom and Photoshop do have a paid option. My Lightroom subscription is currently being paid, so I have the ability to go through all of the options in Lightroom. But if you don't want to pay, you can still use their free version, but just know that you won't be able to use all the features. And just a tip, if you are trying to become a little more professional in your photography career, I would advise you to maybe pay for a subscription just to get all of the features you need, because I know in Photoshop they have some more advanced features that can only be used if you're paying the extra fee to unlock the whole program. So if that's what you're interested in, I would highly recommend that you pay for it. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is VSCO. I used to use this in high school because I wanted to be like all of the other girls. I wanted it to be cool. And it's you basically a photo community app where you can post and edit your photos for a community of photographers to see. And basically, what it allows you to do is honestly what all of the other apps I have talked about allow you to do. It allows you to put on filters, change the saturation, the color, the hue, the warmth, the coolness. The difference between VSCO and the phone editor, Photoshop, and Lightroom is that it is actually a community. So once you finish editing your photo, you can post it on the community board. You can chat you with friends, comment on people's posts. So basically, it's like Instagram, but just a little bit different. And like I said, I used to use it. I'm not too sure if it is paid. When I used it back in high school, you didn't have to pay, but it's a 2024 and there have been a lot of changes that have been made. So I'm guessing now they have a paid option, but I'm not too sure. Now, the last photo editor that I will recommend, I might tell you guys about one more, but we'll see. But the last one on my list is called the Tezza. I actually found this one today as I was looking for different apps, and it's basically a photo editor for people who want to have aesthetically pleasing photos. So if you are a photographer who likes more of an old film style, or you are a photographer who likes their photos to look dusty or rustic, then that is the app that you would use. Now, I did look into it. It is paid. They do have a free option, but if you want to unlock all the features that they have, then you will have to pay. They also allow for video editing. So if you are a videographer, then that would be an app for you. Now, they are mainly for people who like Instagram or want their feeds to be aesthetically pleasing. So if you are someone that wants to post your pictures on Instagram and wants them to look cool, and you should go ahead and use the Tezza. And now the last app I want to recommend to you guys is an app called a Dazz Cam. This is an app for people that like their pictures to look like they took it on a film camera. Now, I follow a girl who takes her pictures on a film camera. And since I don't have one, I started to look around on the App Store for different apps that can make it still look like I have a film camera. And that's how I stumbled upon the Dazz Cam. Now, the cool thing about this is that they actually allow you to choose from different cameras. So they are all virtual. They have a Hoga camera, a Polaroid, they have a D classic camera, they have collage camera, they have all these different film cameras that are free to use, but they also have premium cameras that you have to pay for to use. I'm currently on the free plan, and you still get a great, great, great selection of cameras. So I hope that helped you guys out a little bit more and in knowing about different editing software. if some sounded interesting to you, I would highly encourage you guys to try them out. And I would also highly encourage you guys to try a Dazz Cam, Dazzcam. If if you are a person that wants your pictures to look like they were taken on a film camera, then that is the app for you. All right, I hope you enjoyed this last episode of the semester. I enjoyed making all these podcasts, and you never know, I might continue making them in the future. Alrighty, guys, I had fun. I hope you guys learned something new. And yeah, hopefully, I will see you guys again all one day. And I want to encourage you guys to keep making podcasts. I'll see you guys. Bye. Thank you for listening. Did you guys enjoy this week's episode? I hope you did. Now, I wanted to preview next week's episode. I'm actually not going to tell you what it is because I want to keep it a surprise. If you want to keep up with my podcast, then hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss a beat. All right, bye.